Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome to this edition of Coffee with Joe. I'm Joe Osmond, your host. Obviously, that's not the most important thing in my show, though. The most important thing is the people I'm going to introduce you to. And let me tell you, I'm not a lawyer, and I don't play one on TV, but I do have my own team here, too, so that works out really well. So I'm welcoming back Adam Kotlar and Justin Cohen and Liz Berenato, excuse me. And, thank you for coming again to Coffee with Joe.
It's good to be back.
Thanks for having us, Joe.
We had some great ratings last time when you guys were here. We talked about workman's comp and things like that. But now it's summertime's coming.
That's right.
And what I want to talk about is some of the workman's comp is how it applies to some amusement parks, stuff like amusement rides and things like that. And so we're going to get into that because I think that it's going to be a lot of interest with people because now people are going to be going into this thing.
Sure.
Okay. So let's start by saying, every other day or something, I'll see something on TV, on the news, where somebody's been trapped into a roller coaster or one of these amusement rides. Right? When it happens, what does that person that gets injured, what's their obligation to try to get something done to make themselves whole again?
Sure. Do you want me to start it off?
Go ahead.
So, amusement park kind of has their own legislation, their own statute, and similar to like a tort claim notice, which involving a public entity, which I know we'll get into. It has a 90-day strict notice requirement. Now, if I recall the statute correctly, you have to provide notice to one of the amusement park operators. So it can't just be the high school kid operating the roller coaster or somebody working the funnel cake stand.
Okay.
It's got to be somebody in the operations with the amusement park. And it's a strict notice requirement. It's 90 days. So if you wait 91 days after the accident to report it, as required by the statute, you may forfeit your benefits to pursue a claim against the insurance company. So it's really, really important. If you're at Six Flags or I don't even know any of the other amusement parks, it's been a while since I've been, but if you're at an amusement park in New Jersey and you unfortunately suffer an injury, you have to have that clock in your head that I have to provide the notice within that 90-day period. Really, really important.
Is that just for the state of New Jersey or is it nationwide?
So I think each state probably has its own different rules, but for the state of New Jersey, it's a 90-day notice requirement for sure.
Okay. When we're talking about, I want to go to the seasonal employee because a lot of these people are just for seasonal employees, right? What happens if a seasonal employee gets his hand stuck in one of the mechanisms or something? Then how can he get compensated?
So he'll be treated just like a normal person, like if Adam got injured on the job or Liz got it. Yeah, that's right. Not the right adjective to use to describe him.
Never see that in the same sentence.
A normal person gets injured in the course and scope of her employment. They'll be treated just like, we all are who are working full-time jobs. They're entitled to their workers' compensation benefits, and I know it's been a while since we were here, but if I could just run down them real quick. So they'll be entitled to any and all related medical treatment to the accident. So, if it's a hand injury or a leg injury, an arm injury, whatever it is, the insurance company is obligated to provide medical care until that injured worker is placed at what's called maximum medical improvement. That basically says, hey, the doctor says, I think this particular injured person has reached a medical plateau. There's really no more curative treatment that I can provide.
Okay.
So they're entitled to that benefit. They're entitled to lost wage benefits if they're out of work for 7 days or more. So just like the three of us would be if we were injured on the job and a doctor holds us out of work for 7 days or more, they would be entitled to their lost wage benefits. And they would also be entitled, if the injury warrants it, reopener rights. So this might be a high school person who's working the funnel cake stand and they get injured, and they may be entitled to financial compensation through a disability award based upon their injury. And then, a year and a half later, that injury may get worse or it may pop up again. They're entitled to reopen the claim, even if they're back at school, back at high school, or they're back at college. They're entitled to reopen the case within 2 years of that disability award that they've received. So they're entitled to the full gamut of benefits, just like anybody on this panel would be.
Huh.
And Joe, one of the things that Justin won't talk about, but when he's tried a lot of workers' compensation cases, and what we see for seasonal employees is the insurance companies sometimes try to short pay them.
Right. Okay.
And so what they do is they look at the amount of wages that somebody has been making, and they say, oh, they only made a little bit of wages over a little bit of time, and they try to end up short paying the employees. And Justin's done a really great job of using a wage reconstruction, being able to establish what the accurate wages are. Could you talk a little bit about that and how you calculated the this idea of 26 weeks doesn't apply to somebody.
Right. Right. So what insurance companies do is the rule of thumb that they like to operate under is, hey, we're just going to take a look back at the prior 26 weeks, and we're going to average that out. And that's going to be and then what they'll do is they'll take that, and then they'll take 70% of that number, and then that's going to be the rate they're going to pay you. But guess what? Not everybody works consistent jobs. Not everybody's working, Monday through Friday, however many days a week that a normal person works with a full-time job. Sometimes they're seasonal workers. Sometimes they're people that get hired for random particular days. Sometimes there's people that get hired, work overtime certain periods of time, and certain periods they don't. So really, you have to look at what they were hired for, the rate of pay that they were hired for. Because if you look back at somebody who maybe was working a week or two, and you look back at their wages and they're really not making anything, well, that's going to skew the numbers down, right? So the insurance companies love trying to get away with that and paying you at a lower rate, which is why in every single case that we open, every single case, whether it's a seasonal worker, whether it's somebody working in an amusement park, whether it's representing a CEO of a company, we request the wages directly from the employer through the insurance company because we want to see what they were actually making and if they were calculated at the right rate. But Adam's exactly right. These are the type of workers who usually, for lack of a better term, the insurance companies try to screw them on what they pay them if they're out of work for more than 7 days.
That makes sense because all insurance companies want to save as much money as they can. Obviously,
that's exactly right. That's exactly right. Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, the cool thing is that I know going back to your earlier topic about the amusement ride, I know Liz is a certified civil trial attorney, has tried a number of cases against these operators, and it would be interesting to hear a little bit about what type of compensation the consumers might be eligible for, and based upon her experience. Could you jump on that?
Yeah, certainly. So this was many years ago. I had a client, he contacted me. His daughter was on an amusement ride and was injured. And it happened, he contacted me in very close proximity to the time it happened. And it was a kind of an unusual situation, but these things do happen where your child could be the one injured. The same rules apply. 90-day notice requirement under the statute, New Jersey statute 5:3-57. It's very specific about what has to be supplied to the operator owner of the amusement rides. The name of the address of the victim, which would, in the case that I had, was the child. The description of the accident. In this case, the child got into the ride, and the safety bars that come down?
Sure.
The operator slammed the safety bar down on this child's arm and broke the arm in several places. Child needed surgery. Child was only 8 years old.
Jeez.
It was a very bad injury. In addition, the location and cause of the accident, the nature and address, if available, of the actual operator, and then witnesses to the incident. So if somebody was in the area and saw it, you would have to supply that. And the reason is because it's a seasonal business. And so if that notice is put in within 90 days with that specificity, then you've met the requirements of the statute. It's always good to get an attorney involved very early because we like to send things certified mail and proof that it's received. And then after that, there's 2 years to file an actual lawsuit for the injuries. So it's a very specific statute for a very specific reason, because most of these rides are only open 3 or 4 months. And then the seasonal workers probably go back to college or wherever, and they're not they're not back on that job the following year.
How do you track down some of these witnesses? I mean, people could be from different countries.
That's right.
I mean, I would think that'd be very difficult to get witnesses unless you round them up immediately.
Well, that's one of the reasons why the statute is in existence, because the operator and owner of that ride has the right to defend it.
Okay.
So if there's somebody in the vicinity that witnessed it, you have an obligation to get that information and give it to the operator and owner in this notice requirement.
And Joe, the question is right on point with the best way to find the best quality attorney that you can if you or one of your loved ones have been injured in an accident like this, because we've got to act right away. And in our office, I know, like Liz, We act right away to get an investigator out there.
Right.
We act right away to go out and canvass the area, looking for all the videotapes that might be existing, and then try to back into the identities wherever possible. So we don't rely on just the police reports or the facility where the injury occurred in order to do this. We really jump out there and hire our own investigators out there, getting those witness statements so that we secure all the evidence. And we follow the same model that Liz does, which is everything happens right away, especially on these amusement ride liability cases and the regular Tort Claim Act, which is the state of New Jersey and the municipalities. Same basic idea on that as well.
Adam, for an amusement park ride, do you have to prove that there was negligent conduct like you would if there was a slip and fall case or if there was an auto accident case, or is it just assumed if somebody gets hurt at work while at an amusement park that the amusement park owners or whatever, their operators are responsible?
It's a great question. You know, workers' comp has got that great no-fault liability component, which means that any employee who gets hurt, no matter what they're doing, they're eligible for benefits for all accidents that arise out of and occur in the course of employment.
In theory, they should be. In theory.
Now, there are a couple of very minor defenses, but they generally don't apply. And most people, if you're hurt at work, you get the benefits.
Right.
For the amusement park, you absolutely must establish negligence, meaning that there was a duty owed to the person, that there was a violation of that duty, and that there were damages caused from that violation. So as the attorney representing that injured party, we bear that burden of proof, which is why we investigate early. We hire the right expert witnesses to go out there and determine whether there was a human error, maybe the operator who slammed the bar down on your unfortunate young client's arm, or we have one in our office right now where a grandmother was helping on the teacup rides, right? The teacups are probably the easiest, softest rides you have going on.
Hate those rides.
By the way, they start spinning around.
I'm like nauseous thinking about it.
But this nice woman, this nice grandmother was there with her husband, and I think it was about a 5-year-old child. And the child is locked in, and the grandmother is going to sit right next to her in the next car over, and the ride operator didn't wait.
Oh, gosh.
So the one thing about that centrifugal force, it comes on really quickly. And, you know, we're not maybe as spry and young as we were when you were playing your high school sports and, you know, winning all the accolades and entered into the hold on, a little shout out here.
God.
Justin, I got to embarrass him for a second. Justin was recently inducted into his high school Hall of Fame for being a star athlete, not only in soccer, not only in basketball, but also in baseball.
He knows I'm going to kick his butt after the show for talking about this.
Fortunately, he has no boxing skills, so he may have
That's true. That is true. Thank you.
So in our youth, you've got great reflexes,
Right.
great balance. But here, this nicer woman who's in her, you know, close to my age, we'll call it. She starts with this centrifugal force and unfortunately created a really bad injury for her.
Oh,
So here, it had nothing to do with the equipment. The equipment was fine, right?
Right.
It had everything to do with the person who flipped the switch without having the switch be timely timed, right? Should not have touched that switch until all people were seated, all people were safe. That's the ride operator's responsibility. So this area of law, it's both equipment, meaning a defective condition, as well as operation. Could be either just a simple mistake. I'm sure he didn't mean to hurt her, but it's still his responsibility. And the amount of damages that this poor woman suffered is horrendous. I can't give specifics because it's still an active case in our office, but I tell you, my heart goes out to her and to her family for all they've been through, just because somebody wasn't paying attention. And that's a problem.
We have to take a quick break.
Yep.
And pay a couple bills here, but don't
Sure.
go away because we're going to join with my legal team, and we'll be right back.
Big Flamingo Insurance, what do you want?
Yeah, can we get the auto insurance policy?
Anything else?
Can we add an extra driver?
Number form combo, your premium comes with pickup spot too.
Okay.
When it comes to insurance, you don't have to sacrifice service to save.
Wait, this isn't even the right policy.
Upgrade to NJM and get the 5-star customer service you deserve with discounts you'll love.
Excuse me, Mr. Rollerbird?
No jingles or mascots, just great insurance. NJM. Get a quote today.
You can be confident choosing Farmers Insurance. There's no need to knock on wood.
Perfect.
This is an unnatural amount of natural light.
Thank you. We are farmers. Bum, 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 bum.
Hey, Jake from State Farm. I want that personal price plan. So how's this for personal? I draw mustaches on players' faces when they're asleep.
Coach Reed, you don't need to get that personal to get the State Farm personal price plan. It helps you create an affordable price just for you.
Oh.
Coach, it happened again.
I'm gonna get to the bottom of this.
Call or click to get a quote today. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
She found it. The feeling of finding the psoriasis treatment she's been looking for. Sotyktu is the first of its kind once-daily pill for moderate to severe plaque psoriasis for the chance at clear or almost clear skin. It's like the feeling of finding that outfit psoriasis tried to hide from you, or finding your swimsuit is ready for prime time. Dad! Once daily Sotyktu is proven to get more people clearer skin than the leading pill. Don't take if you're allergic to Sotyktu. Serious reactions can occur. Sotyktu can lower your ability to fight infections, including TB. Serious infections, cancers including lymphoma, muscle problems, and changes in certain labs have occurred. Tell your doctor if you have an infection, liver or kidney problems, high triglycerides, or had a vaccine or plan to. Sotyktu is a TYK2 inhibitor. TYK2 is part of the JAK family. It's not known if Sotyktu has the same risks as JAK inhibitors. Find what plaque psoriasis has been hiding. Ask your dermatologist about Sotyktu for clearer skin. So clearly you. Sotyktu.
Hi, my name is Dave, and I am Metro.
Hi, I'm Andrea. I am Metro.
Hi, my name is Josh, and I am Metro.
Hi, I'm George. I am Metro.
Hi, my name is Joe, and I am Metro.
Hi, I'm Mark. I'm Metro.
Hello, my name is Seven, and I am Metro. My name is Chris, and I am Metro.
I am Michael Berenato, President and Founder of Metropolis Passenger Logistics, and we are Metro.
Big Flamingo Insurance, what do you want?
Yeah, can we get the auto insurance policy?
Anything else?
Can we add an extra driver?
Number form combo, your premium comes with pickup spot too.
Okay.
When it comes to insurance, you don't have to sacrifice service to save.
Wait, this isn't even the right policy.
Upgrade to NJM and get the 5-star customer service you deserve with discounts you'll love.
Excuse me, Mr. Rollerbird?
No jingles or mascots, just great insurance. NJM. Get a quote today.
You can be confident choosing Farmers Insurance. There's no need to knock on wood.
Perfect.
This is an unnatural amount of natural light.
Thank you.
We are farmers. Bum, 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 bum.
Hey, Jake from State Farm. I want that personal price plan. So how's this for personal? I draw mustaches on players' faces when they're asleep.
Coach Reed, you don't need to get that personal to get the State Farm personal price plan. It helps you create an affordable price just for you.
Oh.
Coach, it happened again.
Well, welcome back to Coffee with Joe. I'm Joe Osmond, your host, but that's not important. These three people I have is very important because they're talking about things that people are going to be interested in right now because it is the Jersey Shore coming up. It's the site season, things like that. So let's talk about the boardwalk because everybody's interested in the boardwalk, under the boardwalk especially.
Sure.
But a lot of things happen underneath there. But anyhow, a lot of accidents happen underneath the boardwalk.
That's right.
Oh, yeah. But anyhow,
yeah.
moving right on.
That's I'll let that one go, Joe. I'll let that one go, Joe.
Yeah, I had to wear a back brace for a long time.
Yes.
Anyhow, but you know, like we talk about the boardwalk, where people can get injured on the boardwalk.
Sure.
Do you have any experience with that?
Yes, so anytime anybody gets injured on the boardwalk or involving any type of potential public entity, there should be bells and whistles going off in their mind. And it really is because of Title 59 of the statute in here in New Jersey.
Okay.
And kind of like we were talking about before with the amusement park rides, there's very strict notice requirements
Right, okay.
if you're involved in an injury that you may be going after a public entity. Now, that may be the state of New Jersey, that may be a local municipality, it may be a police department, or it may be the Boardwalk of New Jersey, which
Okay.
is owned and operated by, either the local municipality or the state of New Jersey.
Okay.
So there's a very, very strict 90-day notice requirement. And I get asked often from young attorneys, well, is there an exception to it? And my response is, do you want to find out? Right? So the answer is no. Anytime you, and Liz knows this well, I know you know bells and whistles going off. You see auto accidents involving police officers. Right. You have to think of that 90-day period. Now, is there an exception? There could be. If you have it within a year of the accident, you can file a motion asking for relief from the court to get approval to exceed that 90 days, but before a year. But the judge doesn't automatically rubber stamp that. That's not automatic. It's very fact specific and circumstantial. So our response is always, we never want to find out. You always need to send out that notice if you're injured in a boardwalk accident. Get an attorney, have them file that notice within 90 days. Now, it's very, very difficult to recover against the state of New Jersey or a local municipality. Of course, the state protects itself, right? So they make the threshold much more difficult to get a recovery in a personal injury lawsuit, right? Because the townships, the municipalities, the police departments, they don't want to bankrupt themselves. So they make the standard a little bit higher. And I'll give you an interesting example of a case that I personally worked on in our office. This wasn't that long ago. And I had a very, very nice lady who was injured while she was at one of the beach restaurants down in the Atlantic City area. And she walked from the boardwalk that we all think of as the traditional boardwalk.
Above the boardwalk.
Above the boardwalk, correct. Yes. That's right. Yeah. This is not the case Joe was alluding to. That's right, yeah. Nothing that won't have to get edited out. And then from the main boardwalk, walk down a little platform that was wood onto the restaurant. And then from the restaurant, there was another wood platform that took you almost to the heels of the ocean. And this particular client was injured. She was barefoot, walking kind of in the beach, in the sandy area, was walking on that platform leading to the ocean. And there was a little piece of wood sticking up, and it got stuck in her foot, and it got infected. Fast forward about 3 months later, and they had to take one of her toes.
Wow.
Okay, so here we are on, when we got the case, it was after the 90 days, but before the year. So bells and whistles going off for me, for Adam, for our partner, Jose. And we knew we had to do some real digging, because if this was controlled by the state of New Jersey or Atlantic City Municipality, this was a case that we probably weren't going to be super interested in because of that 90-day notice requirement. And she came to us after the 90 days. But after doing Oprah requests and finding out exactly public record request.
Not Oprah Winfrey?
Not Oprah Winfrey, yes, yeah. Finding out exactly who controlled this particular piece of wood on the boardwalk, which was much harder than you think, because they had to know exactly where the accident happened, because the state controlled some of that platform leading to the ocean, and the restaurant controlled some of that boardwalk leading to the ocean. So it's a really interesting case, and it turned out that it was, fortunately for us and for our client, the restaurant that controlled it. So we were able to get her a very nice recovery. But I will tell you, if it had turned out that that little piece of wooden platform was controlled by the state of New Jersey, that case probably would have gone right into the ocean, for so to speak. So, you have to really have the red flags going up anytime there could potentially be the state of New Jersey or a municipality involved.
This story, and I remember the case well because you worked your ass off on it. It was really a tremendous amount of work. But this goes to the point that we were talking about earlier about that investigation.
Right.
And the amount of work that goes into building a personal injury lawsuit, and the amount of time that Justin spent poring over all of those public record requests and going to, I think you went to the municipality.
I did.
You went to the construction, the code office.
I did. I know way too much about the Atlantic City Municipality office.
And so this idea about the extra work that he put into to help this woman make a recovery was amazing, which is the second part, which is you got to find the attorneys that are willing to fight, like Liz, like Justin, the people that are willing to dig in there, because I believe that case was rejected by 2 or 3 other law firms.
It was.
Good law firms beforehand, because they said, oh, you got hurt on the boardwalk. Well, Justin not only is a good athlete, horrible boxer, but is a fighter. So he was willing to fight, to look for the angle, to try to find it, and made, nobody wants to lose a toe.
Right.
But made a very fair recovery for that client for the injury sustained. And if it wasn't for his fighting mentality and for his upfront preparation, this poor woman would have lost a toe and her case. So
Right.
it's pretty important.
One of the things that I'm just so glad when you're on all the time is because when these things happen to people, a lot of times they pick up their phone and they call up the guys that done their will,
Right.
or something like that. And
Right.
And when I hear you guys with this investigation and stuff, a regular attorney like that isn't going to be able to handle this
That's
at
right.
all.
And we're in a different league, all of us, especially Adam, who has a double certification.
Right.
We're all certified attorneys,
Right.
which is a very rare thing to have in New Jersey. Very
Okay.
small quantity of attorneys have
Mhm.
it. I'm civil, you're workers' comp,
Mhm.
right? And Adam has a double certification in workers' comp and civil.
Okay.
And you can't dabble in this stuff. This
That's
stuff,
right.
you
Right.
need somebody who really has the experience and the expertise and knows what they're doing. Because the Tort Claims Act and properties owned by municipalities and states, injuries that occur on them, it's very difficult to win because
Right.
you have a very high burden. You have to show that the injury sustained, that there's a permanent loss of a bodily function,
Wow.
that there's dismemberment, or that there's permanent disfigurement that impacts a person's life significantly. And there's also a monetary amount of, I think, $3,600 for medical. But that's a very high burden.
Very, right.
And like losing an arm, for example, okay, that would be a permanent disfigurement. But the permanent loss of a bodily function, and it has to be significant.
Wow.
So your minor injuries, like for example, I don't think losing a toe is minor. I'm a woman, I wouldn't want to lose my toe.
Right.
But under the Tort Claims Act, that woman would have got nothing.
Wow.
Right.
Really?
And I'm sure, Adam, you've seen cases where they come in and, there's injuries there, but is it enough to get past this bar?
Right.
We look at the case analysis from the front end, and we say, is it catastrophic? It's really what it comes down to. A sprain, a strain, not so much catastrophic. And things that you'd look at in a car accident case, say, oh, somebody had a knee injury, they had a torn meniscus, and they had a scoped knee. Well, we know that's a pretty safe recovery profile for our clients on those, right? We
Right.
know that we're going to be able to do a good job for them, get them paid for the injury. In the state or the Tort Claim Act type cases, a scoped knee may not be enough, right? A scoped shoulder, meaning arthroscopically repaired ligament or meniscus in the knee, that may not be enough, because not only do you need to have that objective evidence of the significant injury, you also have to have direct testimony about how badly that person's life has been affected. So there's got to be this significant impact on their activities of daily living, which isn't always the case for a regular claim too. So it's twofold.
Unfortunately, we're at the point in my program, which I wish we had a couple of other
Flies
hours of
by,
time.
Joe.
It just does fly by. But it's fascinating, being not in the legal profession myself. I learn something from you guys all the time, and I think that my viewers are the same way. So what happens? We're coming on this season. There are going to be accidents,
Right.
and you got to have professionals like yourselves work on it, because otherwise you can lose everything, and it's that simple.
That's right.
So I'm going to ask you right now to just look into the camera and tell people how they can reach you and who should call you.
Sure.
You want to be the spokesman?
Sure. So my name's Justin Cohen. This is my law partner, Adam Kotlar, with the firm of Kotlar, Hernandez Cohen, the People First Lawyers. You can reach us at our telephone number, 856-751-7676. You can always reach me personally on my email, which is my first name, Justin, at khcfirm.com, and Adam at khcfirm.com. We've been in the area. He's been practicing in Jersey for 29 years, has lived here most of his life. I've been practicing for 13 years, almost exclusively in New Jersey. I've also lived here almost my entire life. We're here to serve, and we really appreciate your time, Joe.
Oh, my pleasure. You want to chirp in real quick?
Yes, and I'm Elizabeth Berenato with the law firm of Bross Frankel in Cherry Hill. And my email is liz@brossfrankel.com. And I've been practicing, and I feel really old, but I've been practicing for 34 years.
You are not. Yeah, exactly right. She's the Doogie Howser of lawyers. She started very early.
But that's where you can reach me. Thank you.
And thank you guys for being
Joe,
being
thanks
here.
for having us. Yeah.
It's always a pleasure.
Yeah.
I'm always looking forward to having our next meeting like this. too,
Likewise.
because I had such great people. Always talked about the last time we were here, with this coming up with the season of everybody going to the shore. It's so important. And thank you for joining us, and we will see you next segment of Coffee with Joe.